When it comes to fully electric vehicles, parent company Volvo has been taking the segment very seriously. In fact, they're so serious that they even decided to spin off their performance arm Polestar into its own brand back in 2017. They first started off, of course, with the Polestar 1, followed it up with the Polestar 2. However, for 2025, we are seeing probably the most important introduction for Polestar. This right here is the Polestar 3, a flagship mid-size luxury electric SUV that offers up to 350 miles of range. It's the first vehicle built off of the SPA 2 architecture, dedicated to being battery only. And as you can see, it has a design that truly stands out in a sea full of blobby EVs that you've been seeing over the last few years. So as you can see, this week, Polestar has loaned us the latest 2025 Polestar 3 launch edition. And the big question I went answered, has Polestar finally delivered an EV that truly stands out and can be compared with some of the best from Europe? Stay tuned to find out. Now, before we start talking about the very standout styling of this new Polestar 3, let me go ahead and pop the hood and show you guys what kind of space you're going to find underneath here, because with a lot of EVs, most of them do come with a front storage space, a Frunk, and as you can see, for the Polestar 3, the company decided to include that feature for added practicality. Now, underneath the hood, you're going to find a really nicely finished off front trunk compartment. In fact, this little flap right here that you lift up really reminds me of an iPad. A lot of iPads, you have this kind of little cover that has this little foldable sleeve, which is magnetic, and Polestar kind of did the same thing. And what you're going to find here is basically like a split storage compartment where it has plenty of space for the mobile charger, and perhaps this looks like a fix-a-flat kit, an air compressor. But what you find here essentially is 1.1 cubic feet of front storage space, which isn't huge, but at least it's something. Now, because we're underneath here, let's go ahead and talk about the powertrain specs. Now, when we first had a chance to see the Polestar 3, the company only offered it with one dual motor powertrain in either standard or performance tune. Now you can also get a single motor rear wheel drive variant, which gets the best range at up to 350 miles. That model offers just under 300 horsepower, about 299. However, the model that I'm showing you here is the long range dual motor non-performance. So we have an electric motor in the front and in the rear versus just the single electric motor at the rear for the single motor version. Now, this version here delivers 489 horsepower and 620 pound-feet of torque. Those numbers are very impressive for a non-performance variant. If you want the performance upgrade package, it increases the horsepower to 517, so nearly 30 more. Torque increases to around 671, which is around 51 more foot-pounds of torque, which is very impressive. It all goes out through a one-speed reduction gear transmission and, like I said earlier, dual motor, so you have electronic all-wheel drive. They draw its power from a 111 kilowatt hour battery pack. Around 107 of that is usable. And this version that I'm showing you here is rated to get 315 miles of range on a full charge. The performance package will drop that range to around 289. Now, Polestar says 0 to 60 performance is around 4.8 seconds with this model. It has a top speed of around 130 miles an hour. And this is a larger mid-size SUV. It can actually still tow up to 3,500 pounds. And as this car sits, it weighs in at around 5,800 pounds. So compared to its sister vehicle, the EX90 from Volvo, which shares the SPA 2 architecture, the Polestar 3 is around 200 pounds lighter. But let's go ahead and close up this little flap over here and then close up the hood and talk about the exterior styling. Now, as you can see, my particular test car is the launch edition trim. There isn't really anything to let you know it's a launch edition. They all just pretty much look the same on the outside. The front end, you can see, has a lot of interesting styling cues. In fact, it's a really sleek and attractive car that truly stands out in a sea full of blobby EVs. You can see some of the Polestar design elements here from the Precept, I believe, have carried over. You can see the vehicle has a nice wide and low appearance to it. The headlights, they kind of remind you of the Volvo Thor's Hammer, but they don't call that Thor's Hammer at Polestar, but you can see it's part of the same family. You have a full LED headlight design with LED turn signals, LED daytime running lights. This little smart zone here, this little cluster at the front grille area, is designed to house all the radar sensors, the cameras, of course, for the full driver assistance tech. I love the Polestar badge here, which is body colored to the actual paint finish. And then you can see there's almost like this little functional aero wing at the front end, which actually adds downforce. That area there, however, is going to be a pain in the butt to clean. So that's something that looks cool, but isn't the most practical. You can see the front fascia already is starting to collect some bugs on it. There's the front camera system. There's a little bit of like a chrome eyebrow or like a little line going across the grille. And then down here you can see there's some piano black with another little black accents. You have some active grille shutters down there. along with some piano black trim. No fog lights on this car, but I believe you do get cornering lights, but overall, it certainly does stand out. I mean, there's a lot of new electric vehicles entering the market in this kind of compact to mid-size SUV class, and what I love about this car is it doesn't look like a blobby jelly bean EV like so many other competitors. Now, moving around the side profile, you can see the Polestar 3's dimensions are deceiving when you first see the car up close, because this vehicle looks like it could be the size of like a compact SUV. However, it's really along the lengths of a mid-size vehicle with a 117.5-inch wheelbase and an overall length just shy of 193 inches. This is around 6 inches longer versus even something like the new Audi Q6 e-tron that I just tested, which also shares a platform with the Porsche Macan EV. That's the vehicle that Polestar was essentially targeting when they designed the Polestar 3. It's around 77.5 inches wide, and compared to the EX90, the EX90 is around 6 inches or 5 inches longer than this vehicle and also a lot taller. So this thing almost has kind of like an elongated wagon look to it. You can see the wheels. My test car has an optional, I believe, for $1,100, a 22-inch sport design wheel. You can see it has like a bicolor look to it with the kind of polish with the gloss black, which looks nice. The 22-inch sport wheels also include these gorgeous gold-painted Brembo calipers, which I believe have a 6-piston design, upgraded brakes as well. You have a Pirelli P0 high-performance tire on this vehicle. It's a 265 by 40 R22 in the front, and even fatter 295 at the rear. So a really cool staggered setup. That's all for handling. You have a fully independent air suspension with adaptive dampers as well. This car can vary the ground clearance from as low as 7 inches up to 10 inches. In its normal ride height, it has around 8.3. There's also some unpainted wheel arch trim here, although I think it's pretty tasteful. A full paint finish would have been nice, but I actually think I like the contrast that Polestar is doing. You can see there's a LED accent light over here on the fender. You have these mirrors, which are power folding. They have cameras and radar surrounding them. You also have integrated turn signals. These mirrors, like I mentioned earlier, they power fold in. But whenever you adjust the mirror, this little glass housing, you can see when you adjust this mirror, it actually will rotate the entire mirror assembly as opposed to just the glass itself, which is a pretty cool detail. You can see the roof line looks very low. There's a full panoramic glass roof, which is standard on all models. I also like the gloss black window trim, the pop-out door handles as well. It just looks very futuristic and modern. You can see over here, this is the charge port door. If you open that up, you can see this car still has a J1772 plug with the CCS combo. This vehicle runs on the 400-volt architecture, so Polestar says it'll accept up to 250 kilowatts on a DC fast charger, which should take you from 10 to 80% in about 30 minutes. It has an 11 kilowatt onboard charger, so it'll take about 10 hours to charge this vehicle on a level 2 at a 48 amp from basically empty to full. I also love this little detail here in the taillight where it's a full LED. It also says Polestar with the badging and the accents. You can see the spoiler here is nice and pronounced. You have a rear window wiper as well. The taillights themselves have that full LED light blade with kind of like a C shape to them. I also love the way the turn signals look with the reverse lights and the Polestar logo. It's just very clean, minimalistic, and really a lot of people don't know what this car is because of that badge. Nobody really understands or knows what that badge is. You can see there's your reverse camera over here, obviously. There's these interesting little fins to the side. I believe that's just for a design detail. I'm not sure if those are functional for aerodynamics. You can see the rear bumper is unpainted. Obviously, this is fully electric, so no any kind of exhaust system, clearly. You have integrated parking sensors. And then in terms of the cargo area, you can see, push that button down there. There's a power liftgate as standard, and I don't know why it's been doing that to me since I've had it, but it seems to think that there's something there. But if I open up the power tailgate, you can see this vehicle is a mid-sized sized SUV, but the cargo area isn't as large as you expect it to be. You have around 17.1 cubic feet of storage space with the second row seats up. Now, you do have this little area where you can open this and you can see there's a huge deep storage area underneath the floor, which I think Polestar says adds around 3.2 cubic feet. So if you include this space and then load up to the roof, you have around 21 cubic feet of storage space along with storage to the side as well. This vehicle also comes with an NAC adapter, as you can see, so you do have access to Tesla's supercharging network as long as you have an account to actually allow this vehicle to charge. Eventually, Polestar says they'll adopt the NAC plug, but the 2025 models will not have the NAC plug. I also love how this right here can kind of create a little partition if you have groceries to keep them from sliding around in the cabin. There's also like these built-in hooks, which is really nice right here if you have like a grocery bag hook to keep them from rolling around. You have buttons here for the air suspension. You have a little power outlet, As you can see, the car actually is just starting to lower right now. And then if you want to fold down the back seat, Polestar says it expands the cargo to just under 50 cubic feet of space. 50 cubic feet of space is useful, but you're going to find roughly 10 to 20 more cubic feet in some of its competitors. So that lower roofline and that sleeker design definitely eats into the cargo practicality a bit. Now moving on to the interior of the 2025 Polestar 3. Before we get inside, however, let me show you guys the key card. As you can see, I said key card because the only key that Polestar gave me is the actual credit card style key, which you basically uses NFC to start the car, to lock and unlock the car. Polestar also does give you one physical key fob, but I can't show you what that looks like because I don't have it. And then in early 2025, they said that you'll be able to use your phone as a key if you guys are an Android user, if you're an owner. Sadly, I don't have access to that, and I'm also an iPhone user. So as you approach the door handle, you can see these door handles, they have the pop-out retractable style. And if you want to lock the door, you basically just touch that area. That will lock the door for you. It'll also retract the mirrors, it'll power fold, or it'll retract the door handle, power fold the mirrors. For some reason, however, I can't get it to function properly. It does have a walkaway auto lock and unlock feature, but usually if I just do this, it should lock the door, but it's not doing so. I'm not entirely sure why. I've been sitting here trying to figure that out for a while now, but it's a small little glitch. But as you can see, when you touch this part of the door handle, it's electronically actuated. It will open up the door for you. Now, my particular test car has a really clean and kind of contemporary color combination. It also looks cool with the two-tone. So this is actually an upgraded leather, or it's an animal welfare secured 100% trace Napa leather. So this is an upgraded premium Napa leather. That is basically $5,500 extra. It includes heat, ventilation, and a 5-way massage function. The color of this leather is called zinc, so it's kind of like a light gray with this kind of two-tone look. The headrest actually has almost like a cloth-like feel to it, but it just has a lot of perforations in it. The leather actually feels pretty high quality, soft. I also like the little insert there where it kind of gives you this little pattern. This seat, as you can see, this color does start to get dirty pretty quick. As you can see, it doesn't look the cleanest. But they do offer other colors if you guys prefer something else. There, I believe you can also get like a Jupiter color, which is like a beigey, or there's also a black. There's also like the wool textile material, which is recycled materials as well. So there's lots of color options. This definitely looks nice when it's clean, and it pairs nicely with the exterior color of this one called Magnesium. Now you can see the door panel has some stitching, real stitching with this kind of interesting textile material on the upper portion. You also have this kind of big Bowers and Wilkins looking speaker along this lower portion here. This LED light also glows at night, which looks really cool. You have real more leather over here, of course. And then my test car has the optional 25 speaker Bowers & Wilkins surround sound system with Dolby Atmos. It sounds incredible. If you guys are an audiophile, it basically takes the standard Bowers & Wilkins that I've tested in other Volvos and takes it to the next level. You can see there is some piano black plastic trim here, some nice storage area here. This is a slightly padded soft touch injection molded plastic. And what I don't like about this car is you do have basically 2 window switches for the windows here, and you have to push this button to go to the rear window. I don't love that. I think that's a little bit of a cheap cost cutting measure there. You pull that up to exit the vehicle. Which, as you heard, opens up the electronic actuator to allow yourself outside the car. This is also your seat adjustment here. It's a weird design because it's basically this cube where you rotate it like this. That will actually recline the seat. Rotate it that way, it'll recline the seat. Push it up, it'll push the seat up and back. You can also access the massage function by pushing that. But if you want to adjust the bolstering and such, and that thigh cushion, this thigh cushion thankfully is manual, you have to go into the screen to actually change some of the settings, which I find to be annoying. I would have preferred another bank of buttons here to access the actual bolstering adjustment. Getting inside, you can see with around 8.3 inches of ground clearance, you do have a nice easy step in height. As I get in and shut the door has a nice solid sounding thunk, and I believe this car also has a soft close function. That's actually a feature that you can't even find on a flagship Volvo XC90, so it's kind of interesting to see it here on the Polestar 3. Now, once you're inside, you can see Polestar really wants to be considered one of the more tech-forward manufacturers out there, and they actually went to Google and NVIDIA and Android Automotive to kind of give you those features. Now, as you can see, the driver faces a 9-inch instrument cluster here, which is customizable. If you want to get into the vehicle and start it, there's no start-stop button in here, just like a Tesla. You basically put your foot on the brake and then put the key fob, which is the key card, I'm sorry. So if I try to put it in gear right now, it won't let me. It'll actually tell me and says key not found, valid key required to start. So what I have to do is I have to take this key card here, If you're a phone as a key owner, you don't have to do this. You have to put the key card here and then put the vehicle into drive, and that turns everything on. You can see it'll have the chime, the startup chime that you've heard in other Volvos. The screen here, you can actually customize it to show the Google Map information, which is great. You can also kind of go into this little button here. That's your voice commands. Click that. You can also change it to a driver assist screen, to like a larger information screen, and then back to the Google Map display. That, again, is a little bit finicky. I don't like how I have to put the key card there every time. But again, if you are an owner of this vehicle, you can just use your phone as a key, which will certainly help. The steering wheel itself also is a new steering wheel for Polestar. It's got the new logo. It's very minimalistic. You have these buttons, which you don't even know what this does until you actually rest your hand over it. You can see the screen will tell you what that is. I don't know what this button does, though. Maybe it's for the audio controls. I couldn't get anything to function while I was driving this car for a week. Your windshield wiper controls are here, along with your turn signal controls. This is your gear selector. So if I put the vehicle into reverse, you can see there's your full top-down 360 camera. There's the view out of the rear. There's also a 3D surround view, and then there's a front view. The camera system quality is also pretty good. You have rear cross traffic braking, all that stuff that you pretty much expect. And then what's also interesting is, just like in a Tesla, you have to go here into the screen to adjust your mirrors. Now, this is also one of the first Volvo brand, or it's a Polestar technically. It has a power tilt telescoping wheel. So as you can see, you basically use the controls here on the steering wheel to adjust this steering wheel to go in and out for the tilt and telescope. You can also do the same thing for the side mirrors. So if I start adjusting the side mirrors, I have to again use this little controller here. If I adjust the left mirror, you can see the entire mirror assembly actually moves when you start adjusting it. So that's pretty cool. It kind of shows you a really kind of contemporary and modern looking frameless design, which I really like. This is, again, kind of annoying. And then if you want to basically set your, you basically go into the driver profile, and it'll memorize your seat settings. But again, it's very much like a Tesla, along with this massive 14.5-inch center touchscreen. Now, my Tesla car also has the heads-up display. That's, I believe, part of either the Pilot package or the Plus package. The upper dash here has a soft touch injection molded plastic with more of that textile material. There's a beautiful tweeter speaker there for the 25 speaker Bowers & Wilkins stereo. There's also 2 speakers in each of the headrests, I believe. And then you can see the dash vent is one continuous looking vent, but they're actually 4 separate vents. I like how there's an actual toggle here, or joystick, to manipulate where you want the air to go, which is nice. There's also this beautiful black ash deco wood with the kind of alloy trim. This is also a nice leather material covering this lower portion. So really high quality stuff. You can see this right here is the 14.5-inch touchscreen display with Google built in. It runs off of Android Automotive. It finally also has wireless Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. As you can see, my phone is connected via the wireless CarPlay, which looks amazing. It's got a huge, massive display, which is great. It also is quick and snappy and responsive. I think that's definitely a big plus. And it's also pretty easy to access as well. Going back to over here, you can see there's your usual icons that you want to play around with. It also has built-in apps like Spotify, like Tidal, because you have access to the Google Play Store and Google Assistants. Obviously, going back to the home screen there's your big Google-based GPS. And then there's also, when you guys have the vehicle in drive, there's going to basically give you a quick access to the performance drive mode there, along with the performance pages and the one pedal drive, which you can also adjust the sensitivity if you want. There's more, or that's off, there's medium, and then there's full one pedal drive. So 3 different levels, basically off, medium, or high. So that's all great. You can see your climate control. It's a 3-zone climate control system. It works pretty well. And it also shows you a really cool graphic. You can also go into changing the how high you want the airspeed to be. Your heated and cooled seats are located here. As you can see, it's all via touchscreen, which for the most part works well. There were times when I first got into the vehicle, it was a little slow to respond, but you kind of have to get used to it, obviously. Going back over here to the car icon, that gives you quick access to things. You can also open up the glove box there. It's damped, it's lined with felt, it's a bin style, pretty good amount of storage. You also have additional storage down here. As you can see, pretty big storage. You have 2 USB-Cs along with this area where you can kind of do some cord management and that little flap. You also have a big piano black plastic area here with a wireless phone charging pad. That's what this is right here. In addition to a big volume controller, you have cup holder lid here, which is nice and sturdy. And then there's a nice padded center console here. If you open that up, you can see pretty deep storage area, which is nice. The seats, like I mentioned earlier, very comfortable and supportive. If I want to access the massage, I basically push that, go into that. You can see there's your different types of massage, and I just hit start, and that will allow the massage to start for 20 minutes. So overall, the interior tech definitely feels like a huge upgrade. I love the fact that we now have wireless Apple CarPlay. The screen looks amazing. That looks amazing. The build quality is surprisingly good. Visibility is solid. You have a digital, or you have a auto dimming rear view mirror with the frameless design. And then you can see here woven material for the headliner and this massive panoramic glass roof, but sadly no sunshade, retractable sunshade. It's just very dark tint. So you're kind of out of luck if you really want to block out the sun. So the interior definitely is a big upgrade versus any Volvo or older Polestar models. And I think even the tech fussiest people are going to be pretty happy with what Polestar has to offer here. Now moving on to the back seat of the Polestar 3, you can see with the extended wheelbase of 117.5, you actually have a pretty usable second row. Now sadly, Polestar didn't have actual legroom figures just yet, but we can kind of guesstimate here based on the EX90, which has around 37 inches of legroom. This car actually looks like it has more because it doesn't have a third row that's trying to give you more space. You can see the door panel materials back here are basically carried over from the front seat with that kind of textile material with the actual stitching. More ambient lighting. You can see there's also a nice padded leather area here, padded area over here with more of the metal speaker covers, which is great. You have that same two-tone look with the premium Napa leather. These seats are also heated, 3 levels, but sadly not ventilated. And you can also fold down this seat to expand the cargo capacity. It almost creates a pretty flat floor, which is great. Sadly, however, it doesn't offer a recline function. That's something that I was hoping that Polestar would have added. Now, getting back here, you can see in terms of the legroom, this is basically my driving position. As I close the door, this to me feels almost like 39 inches. You have a completely flat floor, which is great, especially if you need to sit 3 people across. There's beautiful tons amounts of foot space underneath the front seats. I can get back here and easily cross my legs and get comfortable. And this bench actually feels a little bit on the lower side, which should help with headroom. At 5'7", I actually have a solid 3 inches of additional head clearance. You can see the glass comes all the way over my head, which is fantastic. And you can also see the beautiful ambient light strips that kind of goes across the dash vents as well. Over here, you can see you have your own climate control function. You have 3-level heated seats along with 2 USBs and actual air vents back here. You have 2 storage cubbies as well, which is great. And if you fold down this armrest, you also get a nice padded area with cup holders that also pop out. And they're pretty decent sized cup holders as well. So overall, if you want to use this as a family car, the Polestar 3 certainly can do so. Just be sure you don't need a third row. That's where the Volvo EX90 will come into play. So here we are back behind the wheel of the 2025 Polestar 3. Here in America, we've been waiting over 2 years for this car to finally show up on our side of the pond here for sale, obviously. The last time I had a chance to drive this vehicle, it was almost 6 months ago when I was in Wyoming for the first drive of that car. I spent most of my time, however, in the Polestar 3 with the performance upgrade package. So this model that we're driving is the dual motor all-wheel drive. It doesn't quite have the extra 30 horsepower and 50 pound-feet of torque, but still, this is going to be plenty fast. Now, we're starting off with a full or almost full state of charge at 98%, and at full charge, it was showing about 270 miles. That's with it not in performance mode. In performance mode, it drops that range down to 240. I'll talk about what I was getting in my real-world range later on in the test drive portion, but the last one I 0 to 60 tested did it in 3.9 seconds. That's with the performance package. So to get the best run, you have to basically check mark the performance drive mode here in the screen at the lower portion, and then basically you just kind of floor the accelerator and see what we can get. So let's go ahead and do so. Oof. Oh yes. 0 to 60 in 4.16 seconds. 4.16 makes this thing a little bit faster versus the new Audi Q6 e-tron Quattro that I last tested, which was literally about 3 weeks ago, if I remember correctly. And that time is basically only 0.2 seconds slower versus with the performance upgrade package, which again adds 30 horsepower almost and around 50 pound-feet of torque. That is seriously quick performance. It makes me think that you don't necessarily need to go with the performance upgrade package, although $3,000, I guess in the grand scheme of things, if you're spending this much money, over $80,000, I guess isn't that much more. But still, this car, I love how right off the bat, even the baser version, although there is a single motor rear drive now, is this fast. Let's try another run here. We're gonna brake torque it this time. Oh, yes. 4.33 seconds there. Now that's with it more going slightly uphill. But still, I mean, that time is around a half a second faster, more than that actually, versus what Polestar claims. They claim this model will do it in 4.8 seconds. The performance will do it in 4.5. So I wasn't expecting Polestar to be that conservative with their 0 to 60 time. So that's fantastic. I love the speed. I mean, you have almost 500 horsepower going to all four wheels. There's no drama. There's no gears to change. It's just instantaneous power. And it's just, you know, right there. It's always available, and that's kind of the beauty about going fully electric. Now, the other great thing about this vehicle is Polestar was really targeting Porsche when they designed this car. More specifically, like a Porsche Cayenne or a Porsche Macan, or there's the new Porsche Macan EV. And the steering in this car is very quick and precise. It also has nice heft to it. I can actually feel what the front tires are doing, which is great. The suspension is an adaptive suspension system, and it feels more stiffly tuned, more sportier tuned. But at the same time, it still gives me an agreeable ride quality. The 5,800 pounds that this car carts around is actually masked pretty well. You don't feel the weight that much until you really start pushing it in the corners. You've got these really fat 295 staggered setup tires at the back, 265s in the front, 22-inch wheels on my test car with the upgraded brakes. It feels properly like spirited. This thing feels like it wants to attack your favorite back road. It makes you, think like you're driving almost like an elongated wagon, because even though this car has like 8.3 inches of ground clearance, it actually does a really good job at just feeling more like a traditional car. Put my foot down, you can feel the back end wants to send more power to the back, and it feels good. It feels almost rear drive-esque, which I love. I mean, as an enthusiast, I really prefer that. There is a one-pedal drive feature in this car. When you lift off the throttle or the gas pedal or the go pedal, you do feel a good sense of one-pedal drive, but it's not quite as nausea-inducing or like intrusive as like the GM system, where it can get a little too much with their one-pedal drive. Let's try another run here. I took it off performance mode. Let's see if there's a difference in speed when it's not in performance. Still feels pretty fast. Oh, 4.18 seconds there. So there's not really a difference. Changing the drive mode here from performance to non-performance, you still get pretty similar acceleration. The only thing I notice is it doesn't quite give you the full acceleration off the line. It feels like it's kind of tailoring back the full power when you have it not in the performance mode. Oh. I actually kind of wish this thing made some kind of synthetic sound, any kind of sound, some visceral thing here, just to make this car feel more engaging. That's the only thing is, if you guys don't like those fake sounds, Polestar doesn't offer it. You do hear a little bit of the electric motor whirring sound in the background as you put your foot down and you just feel the face distorting thrust, but it's nice. It's very pleasing. Now, the seats are also pretty comfortable and supportive. I love the fact that my test car has the massage function, which stays on for about 20 minutes before you have to restart it. 5 different types of massage, 3 different types of intensities, works really well. Makes this thing incredibly good for road trips because of its good ride quality. It's nice and quiet in here. Not a single squeak and rattle in my test car. Now mine's an early model, so it's built in China. Current models, however, now are built in South Carolina to hopefully avoid any kind of tariffs, but this model here didn't really hear much in terms of squeaks and rattles. Interior feels tightly put together. Seats are also very supportive. I love the Napa leather that my test car has with the massage and the heat and cooled function. The view in terms of visibility out of the front is good, but this A-pillar is thick. The side windows are decent size. The mirrors are good. The view out of the back is also fine, although my test car would be nice if it had a digital camera rearview mirror, which I believe you can get as part of an accessory. But I mean, overall, if you plan to just use this as a road trip car, the Polestar 3 will certainly excel. It'll remind you that this vehicle shares its SPA 2 architecture with the flagship Volvo EX90. I mean, this is just a little bit shorter, a little bit lower, a lot more sportier to drive. The Volvo just feels like night and day compared to the Polestar. This feels like a sporty SUV, while the Volvo feels like a soft and cushy luxury family SUV, which is not a bad thing. They have 2 different distinct missions. I also love the way the CarPlay looks. You can see finally we have wireless Apple CarPlay, and it looks amazing on the 14.5-inch touchscreen. It's quick and responsive. It gives you large icons so you can see and navigate what you're doing through the menu structure. And the CarPlay seemed to work well every time I got into the vehicle. In terms of real-world range, let's go ahead and quickly talk about that. The best the trip computer was showing is around 270 miles. That's a far cry versus the 315 that the EPA claims. Now, in my week's worth of testing, the best I could do is just around 240 miles of range. That's with temperatures in the upper 40s to low 50s, which is not bad. That's primarily mostly highway driving, and around town it should go up because vehicles like this are a little bit more efficient. Those numbers are disappointing, and they're about 30 miles off what I got in a Audi Q6 e-tron, which is rated at 295 miles. The best range that the Polestar 3 can achieve is with the new single motor rear drive version, which uses the same battery packet. That's rated at 350. I would estimate that model will probably get closer to 300 versus the 240 that I'm getting in my real world testing, where it's a little bit chillier. So, your mileage will always vary, but that's kind of where the Polestar 3's mission is all about performance. And that's why it's less efficient, even though we have a bigger battery pack. Just over 107 kilowatt hours is usable, which is a pretty healthy amount. But I was hoping to get closer to 300 miles of real world range. So 240, 250 is a little disappointing. This vehicle does charge up to 250 kilowatts. The level 2 charger at home also will take about 10 hours to charge from empty to full. So overall, this is definitely a huge step up for Polestar versus the Polestar 2. Never got a chance to drive the Polestar 1. I'll be driving the Polestar 4 sometime next month. But, for those of you who are looking for an electric SUV that stands out, because that's getting harder and harder to find. There are so many options out there nowadays. And this is one of the few that feels a lot sportier, that doesn't look like this ugly blob as well. This thing looks premium. It looks sophisticated. It looks like manly and or just mean and aggressive. And I think Polestar's done a good job, from the design to the technology to the driving dynamics to the speed. They just need to give us a model that gives you a little bit more range. But again, if you can give up all-wheel drive, that 300+ mile range model should be the single motor rear-wheel drive variant, which was just released. So even though Polestar is one of the newer luxury electric manufacturers here in North America, the company certainly hasn't been taking any breaks. They are not looking to rest on any laurels from their parent company, Volvo, and seeing the progression here, of course, from the Polestar 1 to the 2, and then of course now to the Polestar 3. After spending a full week with this car, I am just incredibly impressed with the entire package of this vehicle. As you guys saw, 0 to 60 happens in just over 4.1 seconds, which makes this thing, again, one of the quicker accelerating EVs. If you want even faster version, the performance software package will shave that time to under 4 seconds. And even though this vehicle has one of the sportier handling dynamics, it still has a great ride quality. It hides the 5,800 pounds of mass extremely well. It also looks great. There's a lot of people, or at least this car when I was driving around, turned their heads to look at this thing, because I personally think it's a really good looking car. People also don't really know what the brand is, so they're kind of guessing and trying to figure out what it is. And again, with so many vehicles like the Tesla Model Y, the Mustang Mach-E, the Ioniq 5, all of those cars just all over the roads, this thing just really stands out. And compared to a lot of its European rivals like the Audi Q6 or Q8, the BMW iX, the Mercedes-Benz EQE, one of my least favorite looking vehicles in the segment, this car is just sexy in its design. I think Polestar's design team nailed the overall look of this car. The technology also is fantastic with the Google built-in and the Android Automotive. And finally, wireless Apple CarPlay, as you guys saw, actually works now, which is great, because when I first drove this vehicle about 6 months ago, it wasn't here, but now it's here. There's also going to be a phone as a key function available for Android users for now. I'm hoping they'll eventually add that to iPhone users at some point. The back seat's also incredibly spacious for legroom, not so much in terms of headroom, and the cargo area is small, so there are some compromises. And again, if you're looking for the longest range EV, this is not the one you're going to want, because again, that sexier profile lowers the aerodynamics of this car, which in turn lowers the range. It's not quite as efficient, but it's still relatively good, around 240, 250 miles in my real world testing. The long range single motor version could easily get that number over 300. But with all that said, if you guys are looking to get your hands on this vehicle, what's it going to cost? When Polestar first announced the Polestar 3, they initially had an estimated starting price of around $80,000. Thankfully, they did reduce that price significantly to around $73,000 for the dual motor long range all-wheel drive variant. Now there's the single motor rear wheel drive, which also gets around a $6,000 price cut. So the cheapest Polestar 3 with two wheel drive starts at around $67,500. That's actually a surprisingly decent price. Although again, if you're going to compare this car to like a Tesla Model Y, don't, because this vehicle compares more to like an Audi Q6 e-tron, which is about the same price. A BMW iX is around $10,000 more. Mercedes-Benz EQE is nearly $15,000 more. And then of course there's the Porsche Macan EV, which starts at around $78,000, which is significantly more. Now, of course, my test car being the long-range dual motor variant starts at $73,000, like I said, at around $3,600 if you guys want the performance upgrade package. Now, of course, there's also a plus package, a pro package, like a sport package. My test car has all those with the launch edition package, plus the $5,500 extra for the full leather Napa seats with the massage function and heat and ventilation. That was a pricey $5,500 option. All in with destination, my test car here checks in at $89,000, basically 89 grand even, which is pretty darn expensive. I do think the sweet spot for something like this is probably going to be around 75 grand. So there's a couple options that I would personally skip, although I think Polestar is overcharging for the Napa leather with the massage. It should not be $5,500. I would pay at most maybe $2,500 for that car, for that option. So again, it is definitely not cheap. You can easily get a Tesla Model Y for like $60,000 versus the 89. But again, if you want a car that truly stands out in terms of design, feels sporty to drive, also has great handling, but with a good ride quality and really impressive technology, the new Polestar 3 should easily make it to the very top of your list. Well, with all that said, hope you guys have enjoyed my full overview on the brand new 2025 Polestar 3. If you're also looking to see the latest cars I'm testing, be sure to follow me on Instagram at redline_reviews, like us on Facebook, and as always, guys, please keep subscribing to the Redline Reviews YouTube channel for all the latest reviews. Thank you so much for watching. I'll catch you all in the next video.